Hello everyone and welcome back. I want to apologize. My batteries died right as I started opening this letter. So let's just kind of jump right back into this and I'm going to show you guys. First off, this is flower letter number 18. And as you can see, we've already opened it and everything. Here was our postcard that we got. Pretty peach kind of color. And we have our business card. Really like the front of this one. I love that. She's showing a little bit of her petticoat up under that. Really like it. We had the attention read first. I'll go back and reread it for you guys. This is our telegram. It says to Bill Pinkerton, Bill, I'm beginning to wonder if I'm working for the right person in this Bright Stars case. Things just aren't adding up. Advice. Have you discovered anything about Lottie Stotland's brother and his murder yet? Anything about Captain Rigby, the star's actual lineage? Matt. So that was that, and then we have the attention read last, so we're going to do that last. And as you guys can see, this is the Pinkerton Detective Agency, so this has got to be super important. This is to Matt, so let's jump right into this. Okay guys, so this is from the Pinkerton's Detective Agency. It says, "We never sleep." To Agent Matthew Hickman, Central Utah Railroad, Spring City, Utah Territory. It says, November 20th, 1884. Matt, it's been quite a puzzle, but I think it's finally beginning to clear up. You better sit down because I don't think even you will have seen this coming. Hopefully what I'm about to tell you will clear up several of your questions regarding Rigby, the stars, and even Lizzie. First of all, you'll never guess who Lottie Strickland's only brother is. He's really her half-brother, and he's none other than the Bright Stars' late father, Dr. Lee Starr, which means the Bright Stars are Miss Lottie's half-nieces. She must be the aunt Captain Rigby took them to live with in California. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get the information to you, Maddie, but there are quite a lot of digging involved. Someone definitely didn't want the truth about Dr. Lee Starr coming to light. This is what I know so far. Lee Starr was Elijah Strickland's, Miss Lottie's father's, oldest son. His first wife was the well-known heiress Violet Starr of Louisiana. They had one son, Lee Starr, but unfortunately, Violet died in childbirth. As an only child, Violet stood to inherit her father's fortune upon her father's death. After she died, however, Granddaddy Starr decided he didn't want the family name to go out. So he promised to leave his fortune to Eliza and Violet's son Lyle on one condition. Elijah Strickland will have to allow Violet's parents to adopt Lyle outright so he can legally carry on the Starr name. So Lyle went by the surname Starr rather than Strickland. Elijah wasn't a wealthy man and was entirely unaware he would soon make his own inexhaustible fortune out west. So he, thinking it would provide the best fortune for Lyle. Elijah then moved to California where he made his fortune, met his second wife, Jeanette Barlow, and had two daughters, Charlotte and Elizabeth Strickland. After he and his wife passed, he left his fortune to Charlotte, who used it to care for herself, her sister, and eventually her three nieces, who come to live with them after their parents passed. I've had men check on all the facts, and everything pans out to this point. Then things start to get a little murky. Lyle Starr's death certificate says he was killed in action during Lincoln's War. But since he was a surgeon and not a soldier, I decided to track down the physician who signed the certificate, one Hilburn Wise, and get the details of Starr's passing. Turns out Dr. Wise was Starr's assistant during the war, and he confirmed my doubts that as a physician, Starr never saw action during duty. Therefore, he couldn't have been killed in action. In fact, the night Starr was said to have died in battle, he was dining with General Lee and several of Lee's senior officers, one of which was none other than our own Captain Jeremiah Rigby. Wise told me a bit more about what happened that night. Back at camp after supper, Starr received a letter from his wife informing him that Union soldiers had looted his ancestors' estate in Louisiana and then burned it to the ground. For all intentions and purposes, Stars was no longer a wealthy plantation owner or benefactor to his granddaddy's estate. In fact, with all his money wrapped up in running the plantation, he received quite a blow when he realized he was suddenly virtually penniless. With only Wise and Captain Rigby as witnesses to his distress, Star got utterly sauced and begun babbling on about how he would be all right because after the war was over, he, his wife, and 3 daughters, Belladonna, Jasmine, and Azalea, was heading west to hunt for treasure. At first, Wise thought his superior was just out of his mind with the shock of losing everything. But then Star pulled out an actual treasure map from among his possessions, talking about how he inherited it from his granddaddy's maternal grandfather, a man descended from conquistadors with the surname de Rivera, who traveled the old Spanish trail and discovered the fabled city of Tecuello, somewhere between San Francisco Mountains and the Colorado River. Then Star began laughing, saying his entire estate amounted to less than 1/10 of the wealth the Spanish treasure was said to contain. Wise told me that he found Star dead in his tent the very next morning. It appeared to be suicide by poison, as they found hemlock berries near his body, and Star was known for his expertise concerning native plants and herbs. It was Captain Rigby, however, who came to Wise after Star's body was found and convinced him to claim killed in battle as the cause of death rather than suicide on the death certificate, in order to spare Star's widow more grief. But Wise said the idea of Star committing suicide never sat well with him, especially since he went back to search Star's belongings for the map to send it along as a bit of hope for his grieving widow. When he looked for the map, however, it was nowhere to be found. It wasn't until several years after the war when Wise read in the papers about Rigby buying shares in the Horn Silver mine that he began to suspect Captain Rigby might have had something to do with Dr. Star's death. Now, in light of the above, I've been asking myself the question since hearing this story. 1. Why would Star kill himself if he had the possibility of finding such a large hidden fortune out west? 2. And I learned this fact during quite a bit of arm twisting here in Chicago. How is the berries found near Star's body were the exact same berries found in the Slumgullions concoction Belladonna Star allegedly fed Rigby's entire household staff after they died? Is it a coincidence, Maddie? I think not. What if the Stars just visited Rigby simply to steal back what was sinfully theirs? What if old Captain Rigby poisoned his own staff, framing the Stars for murder so every lawman, bounty hunter, and private detective from here to Mexico will be on the lookout for the Stars? Furthermore, Miss Lottie believes the same man who killed her half-brother also killed Lizzie. I sent a man to check up on that too. According to McDonald, Rigby was at the store the very night Lizzie was killed. So the only man both Lizzie and Lil Star had in common, so far as I can see, is Captain Jeremiah Rigby. Nobody knows for certain how or with what Lizzie was poisoned, since no substance was found by her body. But you and I both know Lizzie was poisoned by something. What if the reason she went undercover was to try to get the map back from Rigby to ensure his nieces had what was rightfully their inheritance returned to them? Now, I've tried to dig deeper into Rigby's dealings with McDonald here in Chicago, but McDonald has stopped being helpful. His men are hedging us up every turn. However, I'm fairly certain that since Rigby owns shares in that mine, he and Gamut are also well acquainted. But I suspect Gamut is in debt to Rigby, not McDonald. Perhaps McDonald is just acting as the middleman. Either way, without McDonald's corporation, he won't have the Chicago police force on our side. Therefore, we won't be able to pin anything on Rigby. If true justice is ever to be served, you're going to have to find a way to connect Rigby and Gambit with the shady dealings happening at the Horn Silver Mine. Then you're going to have to make sure they stand trial there in Utah, where McDonald can't influence the jury in their favor. I don't know how this will change your desire to continue tracking the Stars. but my guess is that the ladies will be safest if you're the one who's catching them. I hadn't had the chance to wire you yet, but Ruby just upped the bounty on their heads and no longer cares if they're caught dead or alive. As far as I'm concerned, this is no longer an outlaw chase, but a protective custody case. So take extra care, Maddie. Ruby's got a lot to lose in this, and we already know he isn't above murdering to get what he wants. Yours, Bill. This came from Bill Pinkerton, writing to Matt. Down here in red, of course, you guys know that you can go to the flowerletters.com page, and you can look up all the words that was highlighted in the letter, and it will tell you a little bit more about it if you want to go further into the story. And I wanted to show you guys the back of this. This is super cool. I really, really like this. This is Pinkerton Detective Agency. I really like that. It was on the back of the letter. Super like that. So what do you guys think so far about the letter? A lot is going on. A lot of, I guess, suspicion is going on about Rigby, which I, for one, believe that he has framed the stars. I believe that. Let's read this attention read last. We read the first one. We looked at our card, and of course we had the postcard from earlier. Let's read this right quick before we go over the letter. So this says November 28th, 1884, Central Union Telegram. Says to Sheriff Sam Parsons, Sam, CJR may be heading your way. He's an awful powerful fellow who can't be trusted. Bill Pinkerton believes Gamut is in debt to him, most likely in the form of mine shares. Be on your guard. Gamut may resort to desperate measures if you pose a threat to the continued success of the mine. Matt. So he's writing to Sam to let Sam know that this guy is on his way. Alright, so there's a lot going on here. Like I said, there is a lot of suspicion there with Ruby and the stars, and I kind of hope that this story is kind of true, and hopefully that it is Rigby is the one that is the murderer and not the stars. I kind of hope that that works out well for them. I really do. I'm kind of rooting for them. I mean, they don't seem like they're bad people. You never know. So hopefully they'll do a follow-up and this will be true. I love that the mystery is kind of getting more, and it's just adding to it. I really like that. This has been by far my favorite letter, as you guys know. If you guys have any questions or comments, do leave them. I hope you guys like this letter, and I will see you guys back here in my next flower letter. Bye, guys.